Coming up on the Unmasking Minds, Empowering Mental Health Conversations podcast.
When it comes to mental health, depression, anxiety, sadness, so many different anger, frustration, rage. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel any of those emotions. I feel them all the time. There's a fear of death.
From the daily battles with chronic illness to the emotional toll on her mental well-being, our guest opens up about the unique challenges she faces and the strategies she has developed to overcome them.
But then it started to come out. My skin was already a sign that, your skin is a big indicator. Something's wrong on the inside. And that began to be the point that I couldn't hide the illness anymore.
Tune in for an intimate conversation that will leave you inspired, informed, and with a deeper understanding of what it means to live with lupus, manage mental health, and thrive as a mother and wife. Welcome to the Unmasking Minds, Empowering Mental Health Conversations podcast. I'm Anthony Redmond, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us as we embark on a journey to break the stigma surrounding mental health and ignite a powerful wave of transformation. This episode is a testament to the strength of human spirit, the power of love and support, and the importance of mental health awareness. Let us please welcome Katrina Bouye. Katrina, please. Thank you. I'm happy that you came here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm happy that you want to be a part of my podcast show to talk about what's going on in your life. And I'm really touched from my heart because I know your journey, okay? And I've been around you for some time now, dealing with and helping you with your journey. So please tell the viewer about who you are.
I am a 43-year-old married mother of two. I completed my master's degree back in 2012 in human resources development. I have been married for 10 years in August, or will be married 10 years in August. I am a stay-at-home mom. I have dedicated my life to my children at this point, and I also have lupus.
So, lupus, we're going to jump right into it.
Okay.
And this show is all about living with an illness that impacts your entire mental health, okay? When you was diagnosed with lupus, your first thought were what?
I didn't really have a first thought because I didn't know what it was. It was just, there were symptoms going on. I had already given birth to my first daughter. And then after that, I started having complications, swelling of the joints, a lot of fatigue, but nothing that wasn't manageable. So I was able to just go about my day-to-day normally. But then it started to become more frequent. So it was in and out of the hospital. And then I got the diagnosis. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. I was at work and they called me and said, your results came back and you tested positive for lupus. And at the time, I had no idea what lupus was, so it was a journey that I began to understand it more, but not really because at the time I'm like 21, 22 years old, and it wasn't that bad that I felt like needed to dive into what the disease was.
Okay, so can you help the viewers understand? Do you remember that year of the diagnosis?
It would have been probably 2003.
2003.
I had my daughter in 2001.
Okay.
So about 2003, I got an official diagnosis. It had gone from maybe being rheumatoid arthritis to just some other autoimmune disease. And then finally, I had all the parameters that aligned with being positive for lupus.
Okay. So can you share how has the diagnosis of lupus impacted your daily life? You're in and out of your whole entire daily life. How?
So like I said in the beginning, it was more so like it was easier to manage. And then as time went on, I started to develop symptoms that were not manageable anymore by just simple medication. It got to the point where I wasn't able to manage the disease even with treatment. It got really aggressive. And it got to the point that I ended up needing chemotherapy. And that was the only thing that could control the lupus. And in that, I lost a lot of independence. There was a point in time that I couldn't drive myself anywhere. I couldn't get out of bed. I was bedridden for years, just in physical pain every day, like years. So friendships suffer. My relationship with my husband suffers. I'm a different type of mom because I can't really be active. So the family just kind of took care of me when usually moms are the ones taking care of the family, but everybody had to take care of mom. And that went on for several years. So I lost a lot of independence. And like I said, my relationship suffered. Even as a daughter, a sister, an aunt, those were roles that I couldn't carry out. So it was hard. It's been hard because it's still an up and down thing.
Okay. So within your family dynamics, talking about your nucleus family, can you talk about that, the impacts of this diagnosis, the pain that has caused, within your family?
So I'll start with my girls.
Okay.
So my oldest daughter, she knew a different me, right? So
Okay.
she knew me to go to work. She knew me to go to school. She knew me brunching with my girlfriends. She knew me shopping. She knew me getting up to get dressed every day to go do nothing. But she saw mom always doing something and going and moving. The new one only knows me as I am now. So she knows a sick mom, but in her mind, I'm normal, right? Because she doesn't know me to be different.
Right.
So for the oldest, she's watched me go from this bright light person to who I am now. I'm not as vibrant. I'm not as out there. I'm more homebody now. I'm chill now. So she's seen that change also. And at a very young age, she turned into protector. She turned into a caregiver. She gave up a lot of her teenage years to make sure I was okay. And then I had another baby. So now she's also taking on the role of big sister and caregiver to this new baby that I have because I'm still sick. So for her, I think now at this point in her life, she's trying to live her life and not be so concerned about me. And I allow her that space. Now, when it comes to the little one, I explain things to her on a very basic level. So, for instance, I do dialysis. I explain to her that I go to the unicorn charging station just to keep it simple. So, mommy's a unicorn, and I need to go there to stay a unicorn. So, I go 3 days a week to recharge myself. That's basic enough for her. She does understand that there are other things that go along with this, but we try not to give her the grave side of things.
Okay.
My relationship with my husband, it has ebbs and flows. Sometimes we're on, sometimes we're off. It's been a journey he's taken with me since diagnosis. He was there when I got diagnosed. Our daughters are 15 years apart, so he's been there. Our relationship has suffered in a sense that he's watched me go from that same bright light. I mean, I was 18 years old when I met my husband. I'm 43 now. So he's been a big part of this journey from diagnosis to present. So for our relationship, it's gone from a loving relationship to a caregiving relationship to a loving relationship. And I think kind of right now we're back in that caregiving stage because I have some issues going on.
Right, right. And I had your husband on my show last week, and he talked about the emotional agony that he's going with, watching you with this illness. And it's really impacting him emotionally. And I do marital counseling, and in the Black community, I want families to stay together.
Right.
Okay. And that's my passion.
Right.
And, but I also want to give him that safe space to vent, to pour it all out on me, so he can release it and get stronger to come back home to do what he needs to do to care for his family. Okay. And with your mental health, how does this diagnosis or this diagnose impact your mental health?
It's hard. I get frustrated a lot because I have the why me questions. I have the, why can't I get a break from this? I mean, I've been dealing with this. We got married in 2014. 2015, we went on our 1-year anniversary trip. And on that trip, I remember him saying to me, you seem off. Something seems different.
Okay.
I was tired. I couldn't do everything.
Okay.
And, it from that point it went downhill. I didn't get better. It was like I woke up one day and I didn't feel good and I haven't gotten better. It literally happened for me like that. So when it comes to mental health, depression, anxiety, sadness, I mean, so many different anger, frustration, rage. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel any of those emotions. I feel them all the time. There's a fear of death. And trying to maintain sanity and all of that is hard. I try to smile most days, and they tell me at the doctor, "Oh, you look so great. You're doing so well." But inside, I'm like falling apart. I remember I just did a stint in the hospital for about 11 days. And I cried about 8 of those days that I was there. I hated every minute of it. It was just, it finally had reached a breaking point for me because I've spent these last 9 months just in a whirlwind of emotions. And that was finally like the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say. And I just couldn't handle it anymore. I had held it all in, and it just was an explosion of emotions. Like I fell out with everybody around me. Like I was going after anybody could get it, right? So I went after everybody. My husband, my mom, whoever was in my space at the moment. And so mental health is very important. So I found that trying to do things that keep me distracted, volunteering, trying to read or journal. If I'm feeling super down, turn on some music and just get up and move, get outside, just finding ways to distract myself from those constant emotions that sometimes can put me in a dark space.
Right.
So I find that maintaining my mental health has been difficult, but I'm working towards finding ways to be okay.
And viewers, what she just mentioned, that was your coping strategies to your mental health.
Yeah.
And I speak this a lot on this show, that mental health and physical health goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Because mental health could destroy your physical health, and your physical health could destroy your mental health. And I'm happy that you're sharing this because it's millions of people is suffering from, illness.
Right.
Of like life-ending illness that I have worked with over the years, private practice, counseling. But what is lupus? Can you share with the viewers, what is lupus?
So lupus is an autoimmune disease where basically, in layman's terms, the immune system attacks itself. Like your body doesn't recognize your body as normal. It's a foreign object. So I have seen a hematologist, a cardiologist, a rheumatologist, a nephrologist, ophthalmologist, a dermatologist. I see all these specialists to treat all these various symptoms that I have to control the disease. And it just got so out of whack that now to the point where I went into renal failure and needed a kidney transplant. And, I got a kidney transplant back in August of 23, and now I'm going through a rejection currently as we sit here and speak. And that has been really hard on us because the family as a whole, because we're all going through it. We got this kidney and we're excited because now mom is going to get better, wife is going to get better, daughter's going to get better.
Right.
And then 5 months later, my body starts to reject this kidney.
Okay.
No signs of rejection, no symptoms of rejection, just normal labs. I get a call from my transplant nurse and say, come in. And so lupus can attack any organ of the body. And
Yes.
Unfortunately, I've had a very hard time with lupus, and it has attacked every organ: skin, heart, lungs, brain, kidneys. So all of my major organ systems have been attacked. But I'm still here. And it's been 10 years basically that I've been in the hard fight. I was diagnosed at about 22, so it's been a little over 20 years that I've had lupus or been diagnosed with lupus. But yeah, it's an autoimmune disease where the body attacks itself, and those are just some of the issues that people can have. My hair is falling out. I've lost about 50 pounds. My skin at one point was really blotchy and had signs of sores on my legs. I had sores on my feet and my toes. Like it was a lot. It was a lot. And I went through that over the course of the last several years. But like you said, mental health and physical health go hand in hand. Once I got a little stronger, I started going to the gym 3 days a week and strength training, got much stronger, much healthier, changed my diet, stopped eating meat. And it made a huge difference for me in how I felt, how I responded to treatment, how I healed. So it became beneficial to me. Now that I've had the transplant, I'm not able to go into the gym and lift weights, but they encourage walking and things of that sort. So that's just kind of where I'm standing with the.
Would you say that stress and anxiety flares your lupus?
Absolutely.
Can you explain that?
Absolutely.
I know it's millions of people, Katrina, who has lupus. I know a particular patient just came to me recently. She told me she was diagnosed with lupus, but she's really stressed with a lot of anxiety. But knowing you, with the things that you're going through, and I told her, I said, hey, you got to take this seriously now. You have to. I want to put her on medication for stress and anxiety, right? She fought me. She fought me, and my fear is it's going to flare to a point they're going to start attacking her organs. She's really, really stressed. So can you share your stress and anxiety? When do you know? When does the lupus tell you that I'm stressed and I'm worried? I'm over worrying about things. What happens?
So for me, it varied. Like at one point, it was my hair came out, and it started as a I remember washing my hair and in the shower, and hair was just coming out in clumps. And I remember sitting in the bedroom and just crying to my husband, going, "I'm going to be bald in a week." And it was just falling out. So that was the sign of something was wrong. My hair had never fallen out, and I had beautiful hair. So for it to start to come out was devastating to me. It was like the last thing I had that I held on to that made me feel beautiful, because my skin was already showing signs of illness, and I had lost weight. So, but I still had this beautiful head of hair. But then it started to come out. My skin was already a sign that's, your skin is a big indicator. Something's wrong on the inside. And that began to be the point that I couldn't hide the illness anymore. So stress, we know, obviously will attack the weakest thing in your body, right? So if your body is the weakest thing and you have lupus, it's going to have an all-out party, and for me, that's what was happening. I had a lot going on in my home life. I had this baby, our youngest daughter was born at 25 weeks. So that was a stressor within our home, worrying about this baby. She spent 92 days in the NICU. They told us she had a 70% chance of surviving. So every day we're on pins and needles. Is she going to be okay? Is she going to be okay? Couple that with mom has lupus and she's not taking treatment because she's nursing this baby. Is she going to be okay? And so there were a lot of stressors in the home. I'm not working. My husband's the sole financial provider of the home. He's taking care of a disabled baby and a wife now that's got a chronic illness. And then we've got a teenager that's out here that we kind of just left in the wind because we got all this going on. So it's stress is something that you have to control. You have to learn when is enough stress and when is too much stress. I think there's always going to be some level of stress in our lives, but you have to learn to control it to the point that it's not impacting your day to day. It's not always easy, but it's something that I strive to be intentional about. If it's too much, okay, let's redirect, let's refocus that energy elsewhere, because what I realize is it'll just sit with me and it'll eat me up. And then I start to create scenarios in my head, and it begins to become, it's something that started out to be this small, I can make into something this big. In reality, it's only that small.
And I'm glad that you said that, because our thoughts controls everything. A small little minute thought could be so powerful, and you think a disaster is about to happen, or a tornado a F4 about to clean out the whole neighborhood just from a little thought. And I always tell myself with my thoughts, like, stop it. I gotta tell myself, stop it, you tripping.
I have to say it out loud
Stop
sometimes.
it. Stop it. Why are you even thinking this? What's the odds this going to happen? I gotta tell myself this because I do suffer from anxiety and stress. Just I help people.
Right.
And that's overwhelming for me. That's very overwhelming. I hear your story. I hear another story an hour later. I hear another story an hour later, and another, and I carry this home. You know where people listen, viewers, listen. Therapists, I'm a passionate therapist. I care because God leads me. Okay, and I look at my people, my clients, my patients as God children. Okay, and I'm here serving a purpose for God. That's how I view people. So when you come to my office, I'm going to connect to you in a level that you feel like you're talking to your homeboy. But I'm gonna give you your treatment though too, and let you know like, okay, you tripping now. Let's talk about this, right? So that's who I am. I want you to feel comfortable because people don't understand what therapy is all about.
Right.
And I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable.
Right.
We was trained in school not to do X, Y, and Z, and I hear it, and I do abide by the ethics. So I'm abide by the ethics, but sometimes, hey, people they are trusting me to pour their whole emotional pain out, and I have to dissect it and put it back in, put the puzzle back together
Right.
to make you smile. I'm not saying that you're gonna be 100%, but if I could get you close to that number, if I get you to 90%, that's good. 85%, that's good. But your situation is a little different.
Yeah.
I heard you said something. You said, I'm thinking about dying.
Yeah.
How often do you think about dying?
At one point, it was every day. My biggest fear is to leave my girls motherless, especially my 7-year-old. She was born at 25 weeks, so her and I share a different bond. I remember when she was born, I told my husband, I don't want to see her because I didn't want to get attached to her because I didn't know she was going to live. And it was already paining me that she was born so early. We had decided we had planned to have 2 more children. But then we decided against that because I had gotten sick. I went to the GYN for birth control and found out I was pregnant with Kendall.
Oh.
So it was too late.
Right.
So we had our little girl, but she came at 25 weeks, and it was scary. So I my bond with her was one that was just it entailed a lot of holding. That was what kept her alive. And I remember breaking down. She had stopped breathing on my chest.
Right.
And they had to take her off of me and get her back inside the incubator. And I went to the parking garage and called Johnny. And I said, I can't do this. I can't do it. I was in the garage just breaking down. This was the closest thing to me. I had brought this little person into the world, and there was nothing I could do to save her. And I remember him telling me, you're all she has. And that has stuck with me. You're all she has. Only you can give her what she needs. Go back up there and just be her mom. And that's all I've done to present day is just be there and be her mom. So to imagine leaving her in this world without me is a hard pill to swallow. And going through this this transplant, thinking, okay, she gets to go back to school. Mom has had her kidney transplant. She can start the school year with some normalcy because she ended the school year with me doing dialysis. I started dialysis in the spring of March 27th of 23. I started dialysis.
Okay.
So from that moment, her life changed because now Dad is getting up to take her to school Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And Mom is picking her up like normal, but Monday, Wednesday, and Friday look a little different. Dad gets her ready for school. He gets her up. He picks her up, makes her breakfast, and packs her lunch. And then the summer came. So we tried to keep her in summer camps, just kept her busy. So I still had to adhere to the same schedule. And then the kidney transplant came. So it's like, cool, she can go back to school. Mom has got her kidney transplant. This won't impact her. And then boom, we're right back to where we started. I did 2 weeks in the hospital, came out, I'm back on dialysis. It's supposed to be temporary, but we don't know. but ultimately I'm going to need another transplant. So it's like, where does that leave her and how does her life look going forward? And I had to learn to stop being so hyper focused on that and focus on the day at hand. And if I feel good, I embrace it and I enjoy the moment and I enjoy the day. But death was something that consumed me because I didn't feel like I was getting better. And I kept worrying, what if something happens while she's here and it's just me and her here? How is that going to impact her? What if we're out and something happens? So I had a fear of leaving the home with her and just being in the house by myself with her because I didn't want to traumatize her with my illness.
Right. And that could be a bit too much.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
I always think about leaving my girls in this world. I worry about my oldest daughter too. She's 22, but she's still gonna need her mom.
Yes.
You know, I talk to my baby every day, and if she doesn't have that, then what? What does she have? You know, and I love my girls. You know, they're my world, but I've been able to try to show them that mom is strong and leave that impact so that they know if something does happen to me, that they know unequivocally I love them, you know?
Right. I soak your energy up. You know, you got to understand, because I want to about to start crying. I'm sorry. I'm good, but you got me emotional over here. But people don't realize that what is mental health? You didn't ask for lupus,
No.
right? And lupus impacted your mental health.
My life, my mental health.
Yes.
I didn't, if you knew me 20 years ago, you would see glimpses of it.
Right.
As you've known me the last several years, you would see glimpses of who I used to be, but who I am now is completely different. And my family has watched me turn into, as my husband says, a shell of myself. I am a completely different person now, and it's forever changed me. It's forever changed my family, and that's hard. You know, this isn't. If somebody would have told me 20 years ago, girl, you're gonna be a stay-at-home mom, and you're gonna have, you crazy. I had no plans of being a stay-at-home mom, but when it became that. I was like, well, I'm going to be the best stay-at-home mom I can be. Give me my Starbucks cup. Give me my yoga pants. I'm going to do this yoga on this Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right,
you know, I'm going to do this.
Right.
I'm going to shop on Saturdays. I'm going to meet with my mom's group on Tuesdays, you know, whatever.
Right.
So I embraced it because it was what I had.
Right.
And for a while it worked until the illness got the best of me and it couldn't work anymore.
Right.
And I just became the person that was needy in the home.
Right.
And it's been a huge loss of life for me, and I think that's been the hardest part to accept because I don't feel like I'll ever get that part of me back again. I've had to learn to accept what this new normal for me is, and sometimes it's easy, and then sometimes it's devastating because I miss my old life. I miss my old relationship with my husband. I miss the type of mom I used to be with my eldest daughter because I can't be that for the youngest daughter. So, and I think that's the hardest part for even my husband to understand. I understand that there's a loss. I've also lost a huge part of who I am that I'll never get back. I can't get back those 10 years that I was in the bed and couldn't get out the bed. I don't get back those times when my girlfriends went on vacation and I couldn't go. You know, I don't get those times back where I had to say, hey, I'll send a gift because I can't make it. Those are things that I miss. Even with my daughter, homecomings, basketball games, other activities she had. Our oldest daughter played sports. I made it to most things, but there are times I missed those important things. I remember planning prom from the hospital bed. You know, her first homecoming, I wasn't there. I was in the hospital. But I'm on FaceTime making sure, let me see what you look like. Are you put together? Just still showing her my presence and giving her that, no matter, you know, thank God for technology. So it's been a huge loss of life. Like it hasn't been an easy diagnosis to navigate. In the beginning it was, but it's become quite complex.
So what do you want your husband to know? If you could say something to your husband so he can really feel you and understand you. Now, you know it's going to be millions of viewers viewing this eventually. But I need you to just be real. From Katrina, What do you want your husband to understand? Because the reason I'm saying this, okay, you got me thinking, when you say these vows, these marital vows, they say through sickness, right? Through wealth, poor, all of this stuff, right? You sick now.
Yeah.
So what do you want your husband to know? Like intimately, like so he could
My
understand
husband
you.
and I have a unique relationship. When
Mm-hmm.
we met, we were really young. I was 18, he was 20, I think, or
Mm-hmm.
19. Yeah, he was like 20, and I was turning 19 or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our daughter like maybe several months later. Like I got
Right.
pregnant with her very early on.
Right.
And we were just inseparable. Like we were synonymous with each other. If you saw
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, it was Johnny and Trina, Johnny and Trina. Like we
Mm-hmm.
got sick. People got sick of us.
Right.
Like
Right. Okay.
we were that couple, you
Okay.
know. And it you meet somebody in college, and you know it's a fairy tale. You know, oh, we met in college and we had our baby, and then we went on, and then we went our separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we circle back.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there through the diagnosis, and I would just want him to know I appreciate him. He's We've dealt with a lot of things. We've dealt with infidelity.
Right.
We've dealt with my illness.
Mm-hmm.
We've dealt with life. We've
Mm-hmm.
dealt with a newborn baby that was born prematurely, severely prematurely, 25 weeks. We've dealt with deaths in our family. You know, we've dealt with life, and we've done life together. And I understand that this is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've I imagine that watching someone turn into something that you never anticipated or never expected has got to be hard. It's got to be devastating.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to hurt, and I understand that. I just want him to know that I do love him, and I miss our relationship. I miss what we used to have. Like we had.
Take your time. It's okay. Take a minute.
Like we had a great relationship. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, it was the intimacy was there, the
Mm-hmm.
love, you felt the love. People
Mm-hmm.
could feel the love when they would be around us. And then things change, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it had to do with my illness. And I understand it. I don't necessarily like it, but I understand it. All I can do is hope that, you know, he can see me in a different light,
Mm-hmm.
and he can understand that I didn't ask for this either. And I think that's what makes it harder for him to understand how his actions sometimes really hurt, because I don't think he's able to look at it if the shoe was on the other foot. Because it's easy to say what you think somebody else would do if put in that situation. But I also feel like there's comfort in knowing that you have a spouse that really can't go anywhere or won't go anywhere because he is the sole provider. I am chronically ill. So when you throw those facts out there, there's comfort in that, because I think the mindset becomes, where can she go? Where would she go? Who's going to take care of her like I do? And to some extent, I do have those thoughts, because they're valid thoughts. Where am I going to go to have somebody take care of me and my daughter, and I'm sick, and she's technically considered what they deem special needs? She has a hearing loss. She functions like a normal kid, but in the real world, she's got a special need. So who's going to take care of us? And throughout everything that we've been through, that's the one thing he's been constant and consistent with. Whether he was in the home or not, he took care of us. I never had a want or a need for anything. If I want to shop, I shop. If I want to go out to eat, I go out to eat. If I wanted to go on vacation, I go on vacation. If I want to do something frivolous with my girls, I do something frivolous with my girls. I spent a lot of time just at the cider mill and apple orchards during the summer while this man was out busting his ass working. And I don't want him to think for one moment I don't see that or appreciate that, because I do.
Right.
And I try to show him that through different ways. I cook, I clean, I make sure he has, he doesn't shop for toiletries. I would try to make sure his only concern is getting up and going to work. I take care of the girls, our youngest daughter. And I just try to make his life as carefree as possible, because I know we're also dealing with my chronic illness, which is hella stressful. It's hella stressful for me. There are days I go to the hospital and I'm there for treatment for several hours. It's a day, and he's home with our youngest daughter. Now he's got to step in after working all day. He's got to do homework. He's got to cook dinner. And at the same time, he's worrying, is my wife okay? And I never took that into consideration until we talked about it. He's focusing on that. I'm not realizing it because he doesn't really show emotion or talk about it.
Right.
But he's focusing on the fact that I'm in the hospital and he's wondering, am I okay?
Yeah.
Do I need him? I remember I was in the hospital just in January and he called me and I was just breaking down in the phone. He shut his day down instantly right there. And he said, I'm on my way. He grabbed me some food and came right to the hospital, and he just sat there. He said, that's what you needed. So in that, I still see my partner. I still see the man that I married, because that part of him has never left me. So that's the part that I wish could show up all the time. But I know it's hard for him because there are parts in our relationship that are just absent. And how do you fulfill that?
Right.
So,
talking to him last week about this, he's depressed too. He's worried too. He has anxiety too. And the way he needs to express it, that's what he needs work on. You know, some men, we hide our emotions. We run away. We try to do things that sometimes unhealthy, like sitting at the bar and just start trying to drink our problems away. That's not a healthy thing to do, So I encourage men, if you're going through this, find that close friend or that family member, just really talk to. But within you guys, your relationship, your marriage, effective communication would go a long way. Just to really open up and just to really express all these fears and things that you're feeling. It's overwhelming. Now, it's easy to say. It's so easy to say, right? And viewers might be looking like, well, she need to do this. No, no, because you're not in her shoes.
I've had so much advice given to
Yes.
me. The old school, girl, that man take care of you. You better leave that man alone. And girl, you need to pack your shit and get up. And it's like.
And that's why those vows are so important, to really understand, to really break it down. I encourage people to go to marital counseling, premarital counseling, because this could actually happen to anyone. I could get sick tomorrow. My daddy died just like that. A stroke. Boom, gone. I know people had a stroke and they're paralyzed now.
Yeah. My husband does HVAC. I worry about him falling off roofs or getting electrocuted or anything. Or just hurting himself to the point that he can't work, or that he has a change in his life. And I try to get him to think about that too, just from my perspective. And how would you feel if you needed somebody to take care of you? Because oddly enough, I came from rehab services. So I've seen people go from living this great, beautiful, fantastic life to now they require our services just to get through their day-to-day.
Right.
And it can happen. It can be a car accident. It can be just a freak act. You can fall down the stairs. Like, anything could happen. And,
I think that people need to really understand, once you get into a serious relationship like marriage, or it could be a lifelong partner, anything can happen in that relationship. You have to have some type of empathy. I'm not saying that your husband doesn't. I'm not saying that. But maybe you need to learn how to express it more or something. Because running from the problem or hiding from the problem or start developing unhealthy coping skills due to the problem, it's not going to solve the problem.
No, and I don't want to paint him out to be a bad person because he's far from that.
Oh yeah, he a great
He's a
guy.
great man.
Yes, yes,
He's by far one of the best
yes.
men I've come in contact with. I have 2 children by him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think part of it is him when things get really tough. He needs an escape.
Yes.
He can't deal.
Yes.
And that's where we have problems.
Yes. And that's the part I'm talking about in a relationship.
Yeah,
When it
it's
gets
hard.
so overwhelming to that point, I'm thinking about me for a second. What would I do?
Yeah.
Like real
You
talk.
got a sick wife.
Yeah.
You're the only one that's working and providing for this
Yes.
family. So now you can't work because your wife can't do what she needs to do. On top of that, she really not giving you none because she's
Right.
sick.
Yeah, the
And then
intimacy
the
is
intimacy is lacking.
yeah,
And now you
yeah.
got this 7-year-old. Oh, we
Yes.
have a dog
Right,
too.
right.
And then, now you can't work. It's all of this. And then he's not feeling good about himself. And I saw that in him. And I said that to him. I need you to go be you for a minute. And enjoy your life for a minute. I'm going to be here regardless. And my husband has said to me, I'm never leaving you. I'm never leaving you. And I believe him. I know he's not. We've got some work to do.
Right. Right.
Excuse me. We have some work to do. And I understand that this has not been easy.
Right.
And I understand a lot of the choices he's made when it comes to his infidelity. I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. I'm a human too. I'm sick. That doesn't mean I don't still have sexual desires.
Right. Right.
I do.
Right.
But for him and for me, sex became awkward. And I think that's another thing people don't talk about when it comes to chronic illness. I went from being like 175 pounds. I'm like 125 pounds now. So I'm a very petite woman. And to him now, he's looking at me like, I'm hurting this girl. She shouldn't be doing this. I have a catheter in my chest. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't hide that.
Right.
So for me, I became self-conscious.
Yes.
I would try to hide it. I'm wearing a t-shirt. We're being intimate. He wants me naked. I can't be naked because I'm self-conscious of this catheter. I want to cover it. I'm frail to him. I'm much smaller. So now he wants to just take care of me. He wants to make sure I'm okay. So sex was weird. It was awkward because now I don't want to have clothes off. I don't want to see my catheter. Now he's feeling me and you can feel my little bones. Now, I'm small. And so that part of our relationship suffered. And then if you're not having intimacy, that the connection can get lost. So that's been very hard. That's been very hard. So like I said, I understood his infidelities, but it didn't make it feel any better. I can understand things all day, but it doesn't make me feel better. But I understood it.
Right. So you're validating something. Validation, I like this when you say this, and it's a clinical thing for me. Okay. Validation, you validate the behavior, but you don't agree with it. You finding some truth within that truth just to validate, but also saying, but I do not approve of this stuff.
Right.
Marriages is like, it's work. Why? Think about our divorce rate in America and think about our divorce rate amongst black people. It's through the roof. People don't value marriages anymore.
No.
Right? And I'm listening to you giving your husband everything to keep this marriage together. And that's what society needs, to be back. We need that back.
Right.
I'm thinking about my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. They was all married.
And that's what he knows.
Yeah.
That's probably exactly why he got married. I mean, he knew for one at some point, in order to keep me around, that's what he was going to have to do is marry me. And so that's what he did. And, he came and got me and our oldest daughter and come live with me. I want my family back.
Right.
And so that's what we did. And we had another child and the plan was to grow our family from there. We didn't factor in lupus. We knew I had lupus, but it was manageable. So it was like, all right, I'm still good. So we can do this. I've already had one baby. We're good. but it didn't turn out to be good. And I don't think either one of us was prepared for what happened. Yeah.
So taking care of your needs. I'm talking about your mental needs and your physical needs. Taking care of your lupus. How do you find balance when it comes to your younger daughter? She has, she's a child still. How do you find that balance?
It's hard, but I have to be intentional about making time for me.
Okay.
So whether it's I tend to do a lot of the stuff for myself while she's in school. I still go to the hair salon. I still go to the nail salon. I get my manicures and pedicures. I still go to the spa. I'll go for my walks. I like to read. Just making that time for myself. My lifestyle has changed. I
Right.
don't work, so I have a
Right.
lot of idle time. You can clean every day, but I don't want to clean every day. So I just try to find ways to stay busy, and I dedicate that space to her.
Right.
And now what me and my husband are working on is sharing that responsibility of her. I wanted to shop yesterday, so I wanted to do that alone. She stayed with her dad. And I'm learning to be okay with allowing him to do that at moments when he's got downtime. Beforehand, it was something where he just moved freely. I'm the default parent, meaning he doesn't have to really be too concerned about where Kendall goes, if anybody who's keeping her, because she's with mom all day, right? So he just has to go to work, and if he's off work, he can, oh, well, I'm going to run over here and go do this. I don't really have to worry if I need to get Kendall from school or not because she's got her mom. I don't really have to worry if her homework is done because she's got her mom. I don't really have to worry if she eats because she's got her mom. So all those responsibilities fall on me. Doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, hair appointments, whether she wants to go get her nail. She's a little girl. Now, if she was a little boy, I'm pretty sure it'd be different. But she's a little girl, and she's my girly girl. She wants to get her hair done. She wants to get her nails done. So if mom's going, she's going.
Okay.
So in trying to find that balance, I have to lean on other family members to take her away from my space. And I'm learning to do that more, because before it was a thing of me not wanting anybody to do it because I didn't want to look like the sick mom that constantly needed help. So I'll watch my own kid. I don't need you to watch her. No, she can go with me. She can go with me. Not realizing I needed to just give myself a break sometimes. It had nothing to do with being sick or not working. Sometimes you just need your own space, whether it's from your spouse, from your children, from a parent, from a sibling. Sometimes you just need your own space. And I wasn't allowing myself that. So I'm learning that right now.
Okay.
I'm working
Right.
through that now.
Great. Can you share any inspiring stories or moments where you found joy and fulfillment despite living with lupus?
Not really any one moment in particular, just finding that joy and putting my all into what I have control over. That would be my family. I pour a lot of love into them because I realize if something does happen to me, what do I want my legacy? What do I want my legacy to look like? What do I want my family to remember about me? So I find my joy in loving my family and giving love to those around me. And I know once they see this, they're gonna be like, "Girl, you mean as hell? What are you talking about?" But they understand, like when I'm in those situations, that's my way of pushing everybody away because I'm scared. And my family knows that I love them unconditionally, my husband included. It's it's just my joy to love them, whether it's through cooking a meal for them, just spending time with them, just to let them know I appreciate everything that they've done for me to carry me these last few years. Because, like I said, moms are the ones that typically carry the family. So for me, it's just been able to pour myself into them and leave that feeling of love around them, no matter if I'm in their presence or not. And I believe they feel it when I'm not there, that mom loves everybody in this house. And that's my joy. That's my joy, my family, my
That's
family.
great. That's great. Well, Katrina, I'm so happy that you came on my podcast show to share this, to open yourself up, shed some tears, to release. I pray for you. I pray daily for you. I pray daily for everybody, but particularly you. I pray for you. And when Johnny shared with me that your the kidney, your body rejecting that kidney. I'm like, oh my God. And I saw the look on his face, and I know he looked overwhelmed. He did, okay? And I'm hoping that one day I can have both of you guys sitting on this show. That's the model for viewers out there who are dealing with this, don't know what to do. It's millions of people don't know what to do.
Yeah.
It's millions of people don't have your strength and your energy to even get through day to day. Trust me, because you have a strong mental health. You really do.
Thank you.
I work with people who right now they they fell apart on me. They have a life illness like cancer. They just fell apart. They just want to give up now. So I thank you. Viewers, the word of the week. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. Remember, you are never alone in your battle against illness. Reach out, lean on others, and together you can find strength and overcome. Thank you for joining us today, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thank you. I love you guys.